Hello, everybody. Well, it's not full autumnal glory here yet in our part of Ohio, and it's not full summer glory, but most things are the in-betweens, right? So let's take a look at what the old field looks like. I try to do this every year, if not twice a year, so that we can observe what is happening. So just remember, when we moved here, all of this out here was grown up European grasses. There were a few shrubs along this, what now we call a stream, and at the beginning was a ditch. It is seasonal, so it's very dry right now because we have not had any rain for a long time. But it will get roaring again to life one of these times. So this is just one of those good moments to look and go, wow, okay, European grasses, yes, really. And if you look up there, look at those dark leaves. That is a sycamore that we planted. Steve and I have been here 14 years now, but I think we put those sycamores in not nearly 14 years ago. They're a fast growing tree. So it's so exciting to incorporate fast growing plants with slow growing plants. Like this one here. This is Nyssa sylvatica black gum Tupelo. It's so beautiful, but oh my goodness, slow. So we gotta have some of both. Now look, earlier I was out here and I almost was like, oh, look at those pretty fall colors. And of course, that's poison ivy. And poison ivy does always just turn gorgeous colors. And right now, it's a vine sticking out into the path, looking like a beautiful tree I should touch. Now we're really, oh, hey, Bon, experiencing a shift. We are gonna have probably a good frost freeze here in a few days, and bird migration is slowing down. It's still happening, of course, but it's slowing down in terms of a lot of the songbirds. But last night was a pretty good night. According to Birdcast, there were over 76,000 birds that crossed over Morrill County, Ohio, where we live. Now I looked down in Highland County, which is the property, the conservation property we bought in southern Ohio. Over 1 million birds moving through there. So they're definitely getting to be more numerous south. And that's good. The birds shouldn't be here. Now, those that like to eat bugs anyways, or that maybe want to avoid some of this more challenging weather, someday, well, in the past, we have followed them before, and we will again. But it's also really fun to see these seasonal changes here, like the goldenrod sticking their seeds out, floofing them out. I've been hearing a lot of white-throated sparrows here, so they're eating all of these seeds. Look at the cup plants right here. These I hear almost daily, downy woodpeckers on them, just tap, tap, tapping along the stem to see if there's any good larvae in there. This is a persimmon tree. This one's actually a grafted tree we put in. This one had flower buds, but then everything got zapped this spring, and so then it had to put these new resources back into leaves. So maybe next year we will get some persimmons on there, we hope. Wow, it's clearing out just for you all. It's been in and out quite a bit today, and it sure is nice to see that blue sky, isn't it? So here is one of our main meadows, and I've been freaking out a little bit because I've realized how many woodies, plants, and trees specifically that Steve and I have planted. And I'm like, we're gonna lose the meadows. We're gonna lose the meadows. And he's very reassuring. He says we're gonna cut the woodies out. We just have to do that every few years to maintain the meadows, to maintain this diverse habitat right in here. So I'm more the freaker outer, and he's the realistic. We got this, no problem, settle down. It's good to have both in a relationship, I think. Now here, Okay, so the three sisters in the background, those are big tooth aspen and cottonwood. And then the three sisters in the foreground are oak trees. So there, and then this one. Oh my goodness, look at this. That is crazy growth this year. We had a lot of really good water early in the season, and maybe they've just hit their stride, you know, got into the soil where they're happy, and they are just cranking, which is so exciting. I would have never really thought that oaks are going to crank like this. Some certainly can, I know, but you think about an oak tree and you think, oh, it's going to take 5 of my lifetimes if I get to be 100. Again, exaggerating. So you can see this path here. Steve mows this a couple times a month, depending on the growing season we're in. And again, you can see how close we are to our neighbors right there. And this year, our mower died. He always buys used mowers because he can wrench on things. And we spend money on a lot of things and other things we try to just keep going in the world and repurposing. And ours just finally couldn't keep going anymore. And we went to a neighbor's house, and across the road was a $50 mower. And he went over and he bought it. Of course, there were things that immediately need fixed, but it's got a little bit bigger mower deck on it than our other one. And that actually is helpful out here because it's a pretty tight path. And we're grateful. He's kept that thing going now, and it's working super well. Look at that burnt orange oak in the middle there. Oh. Now I'm hearing chicking in here, a lot of chicking with the migration that's been occurring. It's bringing in a lot of the more wintry birds here, which includes the yellow-rumped warblers. And they chick a lot, and they have been feasting in the poison ivy. Now you can see all these dogwoods are really putting on some nice color. I hear a red-shouldered hawk also calling in the distance. Now there's a car coming by here, and one thing that we try to do when that's happening is not keep going on the walking in this area, anywhere that's actually right by the road, because we tend to flush birds and we don't want to flush them into the road. Enough get hit just from their general flight patterns, which royally stinks. So we don't want to be contributing to that if possible. I am just so thrilled. I'm looking out and I'm seeing so many rough leaf dogwood berries still. There have been a lot of robins in here eating. We had a catbird here the other day. Most of them have migrated through, so that was very exciting because catbirds are so abundant here that when they're gone and they stop singing, it feels very lonely. And so we got to hear them one more time. And of course they were in pokeweed. They just love pokeweed. The cedars came up on their own. Cedars are very healthy trees. They grow very abundantly. They can be an issue in certain prairie type environments, but that's not us here. And they're loved for shelter by birds, and the fruits are eaten abundantly. This here is an American plum that we planted. We planted a lot of these. I think that Steve and I thought we had maybe 500 acres when we were planting all the woody plants we did. This is 3.5 acres. But hey, you know, not everybody survives. And then we've got this amazing bit of diversity in here. I mean, seriously, these might be from some of the leaf roller moths. Sometimes there's spiders in there using the dogwood leaves. Look on the ground here. So many of these little bitty roughleaf dogwoods get knocked off when the birds are up and they're eating. I hear robins in there right now. Big flocks have been moving through. I think Steve and I both just find migration so incredibly cool. I think about the monarchs, the dragonflies, and the birds. And on Birdcast there, you can watch and see when the birds are flying. And so some nights there will be all these birds in the air at 9 p.m. like they took off right away. And then the other night it was 3 a.m. they were all going. And thinking about them up there has totally captivated me. So in here we have, I hope the lighting is going to work all right. This is rose that we have out here, pasture rose, came in on their own. We've got tangles of grape, of course. Who are you, a cardinal? There have been some late nesting cardinals. There have been a lot in here, and the young are in here just begging. I have not been able to figure out what it is right in here that they're eating. Now you can see at some point the cup plants all tipped over in the season, but now they don't weigh anything. You just push them out of the way. Oh, there's a blue jay flying up in front of me. So we're getting to the far end of the old field, and where those pines are is our neighbor's land. And so their house is not too far on the other side. But out here is where we always hear tons of birds. I think it's this habitat mix. Look at the sumac in here. We were trying to obscure the view here. I think it worked. And this persimmon has turned probably the most beautiful of all of them. This year anyways. Now this is one of those areas where I'm like, the sumac are moving in here. And Steve's like, we'll just cut them out. We're gonna keep this part meadow. I really love the goldenrods and the asters for their importance to so many different birds and so many different insects. And so having these different pods of plants out here and different pods of different species, so the roughleaf dogwoods, and then pods of meadow, pods of trees, pods of sumac, and then of course our paths. Pods and paths, that's what Steve always talks about. Now look at this. They all tipped in the cup plant. But can you imagine the shelter that's going to offer this winter? It's almost like a roof laid down there. You hear all those blue jays? And the robins? This is remarkable, isn't it? I just still can't even get my mind around this being lawn grass. So it had grown up for one season because it was mowed before we got here, and then it looked like it was unmowed for one season. Wow, poison ivy, look at you rocking it. And then look, contrast those with these juniper berries. Gorgeous, and it smells so good in here. This is the juniper area. There's a fair number, and when you walk through here, you just smell this incredible aroma. Well, hey everybody, gosh. So it's blue jays, it's robins, yellow rump warblers, northern flicker. We'll see if I hear somebody else. Maybe the audio is picking up some of it. And then I heard a white-throated sparrow. Oh, don't be scared of me. This is the corner where we still have a fair bit of weed work to do, but you can tell we've got to do it very mindfully because this area is beloved by the birds. It's always hopping. These are some spruces we tucked in early on. they finally also hit their groove, started growing. Steve and I have itchy feet, and we've lived a fair number of places together, moving around because we like to see different things, and we've started a restoration project somewhere else. And then we left after, I don't know, maybe 2 years. My parents own that now, so that's cool. But this place, we kept saying, okay, 5 more years, then we're going to go do something else. Okay, 5 more years. And I tell you what has happened here is so captivating and encouraging and hope-filled. And if we had moved on so quick-like, we wouldn't have ever seen what can happen by the power of 2 people's hands and Mother Nature. So I am endlessly, forever grateful that we gave ourselves that bit of time. I don't even know why we did, but I think it was, well, it was the plants. How can we leave this? What are we gonna do? Oh my gosh, it's remarkable. Oh my gosh, let's go walk the old field. Now this here is a really interesting area. This is a lake sedge meadow. You can see there's a ton of woodies in here this year. And this winter, I'll be doing lots of videos for all of you so you can see what we're doing. We will be cutting out a lot of these woodies that are coming up, and Steve really wants to make this sinuous curve up through here. So there's pods of dogwoods and other plants, and then this little river of sedge. It will be really beautiful. When he did it earlier, he found some swamp milkweed in there, and they just went bananas now that they have that free space. Look, there is still some New England aster. They're closed up for the day. That zit, zit, if you hear it in there, those are the white-throated sparrows. Look at the blackberries. Oh my gosh. Usually, I don't come out at the end of the day so that they can have some peace, everybody out here, and get some fine dining in before night comes in. But I saw the sky clearing just a bit, and I thought, let's go do the video right now. Let's see. Now look here. This is that great blue lobelia we looked at early on. The camera says, yee, girlfriend, that's weird looking. But my point for looking here is there's a lot of seeds in here. So this is the time of year when we are grabbing seeds from this area and that area, and we move them all around. And that's how we increase the diversity everywhere, very cheaply. And wow, look at this. This is shingle oak. My gosh, shingle oak is rocking the world. Look at that. Oh, and I totally forgot. Over on the other side, somewhere that way, I passed a tree, and Steve would be thinking I'm completely remiss because I passed by it and it was the first acorn produced. It's already gone. I believe it's on a bur oak or a swamp white, but I think it was bur. And it's been eaten by someone, no doubt. And so the first acorn, that's a really big deal. Oh gosh, listen to all y'all. Okay, so it's still pretty dark in these dogwood thickets because the leaves are still on. Pretty green. I bet after we get some of these pretty good frosts and freezes successively, which is what's going to happen this year, we will see a lot more color change. Check this out though. Just let me turn back around. Look at that. How on earth was this a meadow? Well, a European lawn grass type meadow, not a meadow like I think of with goldenrods and asters. Well, what that really just shows is the resiliency and the power of these plants in the world. And with a little bit of help from some humans in the area, you can really guide the direction so that the diversity is maintained. And that feels like a great honor to be able to do that. I hear some bluebirds too. So the farm fields that are not ours were harvested just the other day. It was wild, the dust. Ooh. So right there is the second biggest pin oak on this property. You can see there. It's right by our sign from Drift Watch to hopefully remind folks to keep the chems on the land that's there. Hey, Bun! What you doing? You getting some fine dining on the tasty shoots? You're very sweet. Yeah, I don't mean to bother you. I'm gonna pass by, is that all right? If you trust me, you can just stay there. Is that okay, little Bun Bun? We always call them Bun Buns. Oh, they're like, no way am I trusting you. Which I get. This land grows walnuts so well, and it is one of the best food crops for a lot of the mammals around here. And so we are picking where the walnuts out here are going to keep growing. And we're going to go with some of the bigger ones to hopefully, obviously, get seeds sooner. And then, oh, Bun. There's some areas that challenge us as well, like this one. This is this incredible thicket. And we really work to promote thickets so that there's good habitat for birds and buns, rabbits. And this is brambles and climbing rose, I called it pasture rose earlier, and plum and some trees. But it comes out into the path all the time. You can see how it keeps tipping over here. So we always have our path challenges, thinking about, well, how do we maintain this sustainably? Do we need to reroute it? Do we keep it here? So we'll find out. We'll work on it this winter, and then we'll see. The sugar maples are starting to turn. These were obviously here. This fence row was here when we moved in. And Steve did a lot of weed work in here, so we get lots of brush piles. And we keep adding in spring ephemerals and good woodland plants, native woodland plants, but it is a difficult environment. It's very dry, that's facing west, and very windy. So we'll see who can hang, who can survive. There's the biggest pin oak, rocking it. That's why I think the jays are out here right now. They just love pin oaks. The pin oaks fit so well in their mouths. Now look here. When Steve and I got here, we planted a bundle or two of white oaks, and they just sat forever at about a foot tall. So about the same size as when we planted them. And now some of them got their roots sorted out, it seems like. And they are starting to crank it. Now this is a persimmon, but it's starting to show some older bark, which is neat when you're starting to see some growth on your oak trees and some older bark on the other trees. You know the land has had a bit of time. Now look at this. See, this is another thicket, and I want to show you why we encourage this so much. Look right in there, right in the middle. You see that pile of sticks? That's a nest. It's a bigger nest, so I need to look up and see. We definitely have had brown thrashers nest out here. I'm not sure what they make them with, so I gotta check, but look where they chose. A gnarly thicket. And why wouldn't you choose that? There's a lot of things that want to eat eggs and nestlings and adult birds. We all try to pick safe places for our homes, don't we? And then look, you open back up out here. So this is what I want to make sure that we maintain, which is what we're going to do. We'll keep this meadow. We have a couple persimmons in here and one chestnut. And with the persimmons, we planted 1 million since 80% are going to be male. And then we'll probably graft onto some and then we'll cut out others. So we can always have this mix of light and dark and tall and short and this wonderful palette of colors. I love listening to all the lives that are out here. This is working. I say it all the time. It's working. It's working. Oh my gosh, it's working. And we know it, and I still can't believe it. So here we go. We're almost to the end. We've completed our lollipop, and now we're back on the stem, heading back to the bridge so you'll see where we began. We've got some big work we're going to do here this winter. It's very exciting to us. We love tending the land, and we're going to spend some time doing that, not only with the woodies, but with a few surprises. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll, of course, share it all with you. Oh yeah, check this out. When you plant this many things, you often forget who you planted where. And we saw this plant, and I was like, who's this? And then, oh yeah, we planted buttonbush here a long time ago. So Steve put this tag on because this is a pretty big thicket of climbing rose. And so we want to make sure there's space for the buttonbush, which there will be. Oh, what a joyful day to be out here. Thank you for joining me on this tour. We'll keep doing more tours. This here's a hackberry. Hey there, hackberry. Not quite a senior, but you're not really a little sapling anymore. That's pretty exciting. Okay, bye everybody.